All right, guys, welcome back to the Impact Defense Podcast. This is episode 110. We are going to be talking again today with Jarrod Saxton, the founder of Tactical Running. All right. Before we move on, though, we have to talk about the official fuel of impact.
Blackout coffee.
Blackout coffee. Okay.
Today we have an ultra-patriotic version.
We do, yeah.
Yes.
So we have Betsy's Blend. There's definitely, you told me, you had the first sip of it right before we started recording. It's very berry. You definitely get it. And it's like blueberries, raspberries, and white chocolate, I think it is. There is a lot
Red, white, and blue, guys.
Yeah, that's... That's the whole point of Betsy's Blend, I guess. But yeah, it's really good. And again, before Blackout Coffee, I never did like actual like fruity kind of flavored coffees. I just didn't. I didn't think they belonged together. Chocolate cherry was my gateway drug into these.
If you're interested in trying our Blackout Coffee or Betsy's Blend specifically, you can go to impactgear.live/coffee and purchase that through us. Now, you can use our coupon code to get an extra 10% off. That is, what is our coupon code? Impact Defense?
Impact Defense.
Just Impact Defense. But if they already have a standing deal, you can't use a coupon code. And usually their standing deals are even
really
better. Yeah, are even better discounts than our coupon code. So
I bought Betsy's Blend during one of the Christmas sales.
Yeah,
they had a big Christmas sale, so I got some then.
So even we didn't use our own coupon code whenever they had a sale. So yes, if you're interested in it, it's impactgear.live/coffee.
You know, we're having Jarrod on from Tactical Running because, well, not just because, but for one thing, you two ladies just got certified.
Yes, I'm pretty sure we are the only tactical running instructors in the States. Yeah.
There you go. There's your
That
round
is just
of
my
applause.
Understanding. I apologize if anybody is listening to this and they are a certified tactical running instructor in the States. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that he said we're the only ones in the States. So,
yep, that is absolutely freaking awesome. All right,
so come to us to get your training. Yeah, if you're in the States.
Exactly,
and you don't want to travel to New Zealand.
Yeah, and also check out our YouTube channel where we're trying to put out some of that stuff over there as well. So, all right, guys. So without further ado, let's go and bring on Jarrod Saxton. All right, guys, we are joined again by Jarrod Saxton, creator and founder of Tactical Running.
Those mean the same thing.
I know those mean the same thing. Sorry about that. Okay. But he is the creator and the founder of Tactical Running. So if you don't mind, sir, if people did not hear your first podcast with us, if you don't mind, just tell a little bit about yourself.
Cool. So I have basically developed a martial arts style that is 100% focused on running away instead of fighting. So it looks exactly the same as what you would see in a syllabus, with different techniques and everything, except they're all about running and escaping, getting around people. And this is in the context of, let's say you've just broken your attacker's grip and you start running, they begin chasing you, or you're trying to get away from somebody. What do you do then? So we look at how to get you from a point where you've just started running away from somebody to you're back at home safe without encountering any obstacles, dead ends, and all this other stuff that can sort of come up along that path.
As someone who has trained self-defense for a very, very long time and trained others in self-defense for a very, very long time, it's always said, hey, run away if you can, but nobody ever tells you how to do it. So when I came across your book, at first I was like, this was gold. I mean, it was awesome because it really focused on an area that was so misunderstood, honestly, within the martial arts and self-defense community, and at least just kind of glossed over. So I thought that was absolutely wonderful what you had actually done.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think there are misconceptions of that in the media as well with action movies and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing like what you would imagine in terms of, people have said, well, what about parkour and things like that? And there's just no focus on actual self-defense and parkour.
Right.
Obviously, the agility and stuff that you develop through those kind of exercises can be useful, and I wouldn't take that away from what people are doing.
Right.
But you don't want to leap over a 2-meter fence not knowing what's on the other side, or thing, and you're not even sure if you're going to hold on to it and all of this stuff. So
yeah,
it is simple. I would consider it like, it's the basic reliable stuff you need to do to get away.
Yeah. And I mean, that's even saying with self-defense, there's really no point in doing a back handspring for fighting. But it's shown in movies and TV shows all the time when fights are happening, somebody does something and the first thing they do is a back handspring to get out of the way. It's like, or I could just take a sliding step back.
Yeah.
So recently, I don't know if you want to say a little something about it, but recently Kylie and Jada just went through the tactical running instructor certification.
Yep. And they did an amazing job. I was very happy with both of them. They both got to a point where they could understand and explain all of the key concepts and the techniques in tactical running in their own words. So I thought that was really great. And while I was hearing them take me through it all, there was no loss of the original meaning of everything that we went through. So I thought that was really awesome just to see other instructors and explain it in their own words, bring their own experience to it as well. So I was really happy about that. And they picked up on the techniques really well as well. I think that's just, two women who have trained in self-defense and martial arts. I think you just picked up on the techniques quite intuitively as well. So I think that made doing the whole thing online much, much easier. Because in the past, when I was actually, training people who wanted to do tactical running that didn't have martial arts experience, that became a bit of a barrier. So I didn't experience that with them at all. So yeah, well deserved, and congratulations, guys.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, as you train self-defense, you learn to take the common sense approach to like most things, and that's essentially what tactical running is. It's the most common sense approach to evasion and getting out of the way and being able to get away safely, potentially with complete like non-violence. And I think that's what a lot of people would misconstrue about tactical running. They assume it is a lot of parkour and stuff, when no, it's designed for the everyday person to be able to take a common sense approach to escaping.
Yeah.
And getting to safety.
I enjoyed it because really this is the first certification that they have for a self-defense and or martial art, any kind of thing that I don't have. So I thought that was kind of neat to for them to experience something where they have training in something that I do not. I get the concepts from because I read your book and just from talking to you, and then kind of also seeing some of what they were doing. But I do think it's very interesting in the fact that now they have this certain knowledge base that I don't have. So I think that's great for what we do as well, because, diversifying what we do.
It was very interesting whenever we first did self-defense season, like our big self-defense, everything with the kids since then, because we were teaching them escapes to certain things and everything. And I said, I would like them taught it this way so their feet land in this position to set them up to better run away and get away afterwards. Previously, you could tell that we were escaping certain things and getting to a position where they would be in a good position to fight again from,
yes,
if they needed to. And now it's going, actually, we need to make them land this way so they can run.
Yeah. Well, a lot of my experience was like fighting in a cage and in a ring and stuff like that. So, it's like, yeah, I knew how to fight, but like it was really neat. I enjoyed
just
that.
The tiny and just the minute changes that you make to just set yourself up a little bit differently is interesting. I think one of the most entertaining experiences we've had with tactical running is working it with the little dragons, which is our 3 to 6 year old age group. Because they're running around someone trying to grab them and ducking under the head, or hands, and shooting away at the last second and getting around and slipping out. They laugh and giggle so much, and you see the parents out there with their phones videoing, this is what my kid did in karate today. It was very entertaining. I can't wait to do that again. It's exhausting though.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Our main reason for having you on today, though, is to talk about how people can train tactical running skills at home and on their own time and stuff like that. What are some basic skills or tactics or just maybe games that kids can play to kind of reinforce some of the tactical running skills?
Well, actually, firstly, when I first came up with the concept of tactical running, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was mostly on my own, and so I have a lot of cool things to talk about there, which we'll get into later on. In terms of kids, there's a lot of games that they actually play which already touch on that kind of subject, which is obviously one is something like tag, right? Where one person's tagged, and they'll try and chase the other person, tag them, and then they just switch between chasing and running away. And the other one is hide and seek as well, which could be quite good, looking for hiding spots and things like that. And that can be useful just for helping kids. So you can just add a bit of advice, depending on how old the kids are and what they can process to help them improve those games, right? So you can take them through games like that and then just give them advice. You could even do this around the house. You could play hide and seek with your kid around the house. That's going to be fun. But also, if there ever was an intruder or a burglar or something, perhaps the kid would know, where to go if something happened, which could be very, very useful, especially if you're looking to protect your house. You wouldn't want your kid to sort of get in the way of that situation or to be grabbed by the burglar or whoever. So it can just remove that added difficulty of having to deal with that as well. So it can be very good for that too. But I'd say tag and hide and seek, if you can do those and just get kids playing those and really enjoying those games, and then just giving them a bit of tactical running advice along the way, that would be good. And in terms of tactical running advice, I'd say the main things are, for tag, try to focus on, the main thing would be when you're running in a straight line, there's not too much you have to do. So I would say, to them, try not to make these sort of gradual turning movements like that, right? Because you can see where they're running. So run in a straight line, and when you're turning, you want to turn as fast as what you would punch, right? So they don't know which way you're going, right? So you'd turn sharp that way, and then this way. If you turn gradually, they can kind of estimate your projection to run. So sharp turning would be a key concept for them. Zigzag, be like a fast little ninja, or be like the Flash.
Yeah.
So that would be one. Another concept is you actually have to get closer to people sometimes before you get further away from them, if you're looking to break their line of defense. So if someone's in front of you and you try and run around that person from a distance, if you imagine they're here in the center and you're here, and you're trying to run around this person, right? And you have to go all this distance if you're far away. And all this person has to do is just move to there, right? So you can't run unless you're like super fast. Dogs can do it. My dog can run around me from here.
Right.
But most people can't. So you actually sometimes need to get a bit closer to actually run around somebody. So those would be the main two concepts for tag. And I think a main concept for hide and seek is that there's two modes that you're going to be in, right? You're going to be in hiding mode or sneaking mode, right? And when you're in sneaking mode, there's nothing you can do to be seen. There's nothing you can do to be spotted if someone looks in that direction, because you're out in the open around. So you should focus all your effort on being silent, right? So just kind of, heel toe, right? When you're hiding, you're not making a sound, right? You're going to be still, you're going to be somewhere. And so naturally, because you're not making a sound, put all your effort into being unseen, right? Really like get down low, change your shape, things like that. Mold, just figure out like the shape of the thing you're hiding behind. That's key, because when people try to sneak around or be stealthy, they're usually trying to be unseen and unheard at the same time. That's too demanding for anyone. So it's good to know that when you're moving around, just focus on being silent. And when you're hiding, focus on being unseen. So that can be quite useful. The other one is to choose hiding spots that you can get in and out of quickly, because you don't want to be caught like underneath let's just say like a dumpster, or inside a dumpster, or underneath a truck or something, where if you're found, you don't have any options. You don't have any running options. You don't have any fighting options. And so it's better to keep your hiding spots, touching on simplicity again, keep your hiding spots very, very simple, right? And just have cover or concealment, we'll say concealment from at least one direction. So you can kind of cover that with the kids in kind of in a fun way. And you don't necessarily have to go into too much detail, as I just did then, to actually do it. You can just say, hide behind simple things, so that if you see me, or if I see you, can run away.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
We can continue bringing up other games that we think will actually work really well for tactical running, even aside from like hide and seek and tag. I can think of a few that I might qualify under good ones. I think I want to ask about what specific skills inside of tactical running do you think are the most important ones for you to start as a kid?
Because kids, when you look at kids, they're smaller. If we're thinking like kids that are, little, let's say like, I don't know, 12 years or younger, let's say, because they're young and little, tiny and light, they can be quite good at sneaking around if you train them in how to do it. and they have more options for viable hiding spots in certain environments and things. So to teach them stealth can be very, very useful for that reason. It kind of plays to the strength of their body type and body size. Much like if you thought of like maybe a taller, bigger fighter would have some kind of reach advantage and some other like weight advantage against like maybe a lighter, smaller fighter. So in the context of stealth, we're thinking, well, these kids can hide behind more things and they have more options. So it can be good for that reason. The kids are kind of slow. They probably can't outrun adults. So that's another thing to consider. Depending on the situation, they might be able to get to a point of safety before an adult still reaches them. So running isn't completely unviable, but that's an important consideration. So I liked the idea of focusing on stealth and really teaching. Most of the time kids are going to be with some kind of adult or under some sort of supervision. And so if you can train them to respond and to hide in certain situations, that can be useful, right? And then from there, you could teach them some real basic things. You could teach them like how to get to a hiding spot and then call the police. Even if they don't say anything, the police might overhear something on the phone. You could teach them how to search for help and that sort of thing as well. I think stealth is very useful for kids for that reason. Now, running away can also be useful in terms of, let's say that they are being maybe attacked or bullied by other kids, where there might be like a similar speed. But there is kind of like a nuance here, which is that if it's at school and it's something that might happen again, just running away might not be the best thing to do. Like the kids might need to actually stand up for themselves because they're in a situation they can't actually get away from. They got to go back to school the next day.
Yeah.
And so this is where like some of the limitations of running come into play as well.
I think that's where a lot of this kind of stuff plays into benefiting each other. And I'm thinking you had said before that you would like to see kind of tactical running spread to a lot of martial arts and a lot of martial artists and stuff like that. So that would, so they could then understand how to teach people how to run away, but also at the same time, those kids are learning to stand up for themselves in those situations where they need to stand up for themselves and not just run away.
Yeah. And sometimes running away can actually help you to stand up for yourself as well. Let's say if there's maybe 5 kids and they are saying aggressive things. And this kid knows that they've got enough distance. They can see a place of safety and they could just be standing there, like just giving it back or standing their ground, standing up for themselves, knowing that if the kids come towards them, they can actually kind of move over to this place over here where maybe the kids can't get them or something like that. The more options you have, whether it is, being able to defend yourself physically or being able to get away from the situation, the more confident you're going to be.
Right. That's true. Very true.
So that's quite useful. Yeah.
I know you were talking about games and it kind of reminded me when I was a kid, I used to play my cousin. We would get together usually around his birthday every year. We would have these like overnight parties. And one of the things that we would do as kids is in the middle of the night, when his parents were trying to sleep and everything, but like we played what we called ninjas and all the lights would be off. And the goal would be to get from everybody. There was one person trying to tag people and trying to catch people. Everybody else was there's 3 or 4 of us that were trying to then sneak from one area to another area that was on the other side of them. So I think about something like that with that, that would kind of be a game that would kind of also fit into that.
Yeah, we played something very similar where we had one person hiding somewhere in the house. Like they would yell ready whenever they were ready, and we would all come out because I had 4 siblings, and so 4 of us would be in one room and one of us would be hiding, and we would come out of the room, and our goal was to search the house and locate them without being tagged by them.
That's cool.
So, yes, it was terrifying. Just because that you're trying to find the person who's trying to tag you. And if you got tagged, the first person to get tagged is the one who has to hide the next round. So you would be going through the house and one person would yell, "Found And then we'd all just take off tearing through the house, running in one area or another. And you have to be really careful not to get cornered, or anything like that. But I think about something like that game. We actually spread that game to Texas. I don't know if there's an actual name for it. I just know it's something we played when we were little, and no one we ever introduced to it had ever heard of it.
Yeah.
And so it might have just been something we invented. I don't know. But yeah, we went to Texas and they were bored at a birthday party. And I was like, I got a game. So there's some family in Texas playing that somewhere.
No, I love that. That added element of that the person hiding can actually tag the people. Brilliant. Because you're not just going to rush around looking. You have to be a little bit more cautious, right? Which could reflect reality a bit more actually in real situations like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I liked it. I like it for kids just because it does get your nerves up and your heart is pounding. And so it actually helps you learn to work through adrenaline, which I think is part of where my adrenaline rush addiction comes from. But it's fine. Eventually it goes away and you have to find something more terrifying.
There's also the whole game called Bull Rush. I'm not sure if you guys might
not
call
familiar
it.
with this, but I'd love to hear it.
Okay. It's kind of what we're doing with Jada and Kylie a little bit. You have a group of people at one side of the hall, and you have one person in the middle. And basically, they have to run from one side to the other, and the person in the middle just has to grab someone, take them to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Once they take them to the ground, now there's two people trying to catch everyone. And you just go back until there's one person left, and that one person left can just try and get through this big crowd of people. And that's quite cool because the way that I like to play it is that you are allowed to grapple, and just if you get tagged or if you get tackled or something, you need to be held in place for at least 5-10 seconds or something. That gives people a chance to actually wrestle their way or grapple their way out of the situation, and then keep running.
This would be really fun to do with Shaheem and Luke and
I'm
Ian
thinking some of the older ones. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to do.
Because that's something I would have the beginners do, just because I don't trust them not to, just take each other out and hurt each other because they don't have control yet. But the advanced kids, that would be really fun to watch and participate in.
I would still say no striking for sure, because running and striking don't go well together. You got to be very careful when you bring those two into the mix. But grappling and running can work pretty well. It just means that it just gives people a chance to maybe quickly brush a hand away or quickly break a grip.
We do a lot of grappling within our program as well. So a lot of people hear karate and they don't realize the kind of stuff. But since I came from an MMA background, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu and other things that we do within our quote unquote karate program. So that would be a really good when we're working on a lot of grappling stuff.
I think the last thing that should probably be mentioned is just general athletics and balance skills and maneuverability.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a kind of downward trend in general athletic ability in young people, because I've been teaching for a little while, and even in the short amount of time that I've been a teacher,
well, it's about 3 years. It's not.
Well, more than actually,
maybe about 4 years. Okay.
I've seen a downward trend in general athletic ability. Kids not being able to place 2 feet together for a jump, or just not having that general muscle control that you would expect to see. And I think it's from doing more sit down activities, playing on phones and tablets and stuff, which is the bane of my existence. But instead of getting out and doing things, running outside in uneven ground, it's sitting and playing on a video game, which has its place, but it's also causing a general downturn. Yeah. That is a little bit hard to overcome. And so what I feel like is a good thing would just be to create a little obstacle course in your house, play the floor is lava or something like that.
That's true.
So they're having to learn to balance on different textures and difficult items, like pillows stacked together on the floor, or trying to see how much of your house you can get around without touching the floor. I just don't think those games are played as much anymore, when that is essentially what has helped me develop balance and the ability to not.
Yeah, of course, that's also the kind of games that my brother and I used to play to get yelled at all the time. So
there's that, but we were outside playing those things all the time,
One time when one of my cousins were staying over at our house, I have a bunk bed. This is back whenever we were like 10 or 11 or something. So basically my bunk bed was a raft, and we called the game Raft. Basically, we couldn't touch the floor, but we had to get like materials from my room without touching the floor.
Gotcha.
And so then we would use the materials that we had just gotten to try to get more stuff. That's just one thing that has always stuck in my mind.
Yeah. Did you end up using a lot of like I'm guessing like with something like grab a pillow, put it on the floor to be able to reach something else?
Yeah. Either that, and I had this like really big beanbag chair. And so we would jump off my ladder and then land on that beanbag chair. And then we would reach and get something else and hand it up to the person on top.
Just being able to put your feet exactly where you want them to go is such an underdeveloped skill in most people now.
And then if you had touched the floor, then you were out of the game, and now there's only one person left.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was something, that was just a game that always like stuck out in my mind.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool, because like even if you didn't have a bunk bed, you could do it like on a couch or something like that. And even adults could get involved playing games with kids.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I didn't really think about the fact of how many little childhood games can really fit into the skills needed for tactical running and stuff like that early.
Yeah, that's why I got so excited when we first did that original podcast with Jarrod, because I was listening to this going, these are the things we could be applying in these kids early on in life, because, there are some of these kids that we have from the time they're 3 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine all of the skills that we can build in them and the ability that we can build in them that basically nowhere else is in the same position that we are to do.
That's true.
And if we just incorporate these things from a young age, it becomes instinct, because common sense trained turns into just natural ability. So like if we can just build those things early on, it helps. And parents are in that position where they're with their kids more than anyone else. Play it at home with your kids, get involved, play with them. One of my favorite things in the world was when my parents would turn off all the lights and say, we're playing in the dark hide and seek. And like my whole family is fairly compact and like athletic. And so whole world of hiding opportunities come up for us. My favorite one we ever played was in the dark hide and seek, and the person has a very dim flashlight, like it's got like toilet paper and stuff over it so that you can't really see very well, and you've got to get really close to be able to see something. And I spider monkeyed a wall and am like hung up over, like looking over the floor in the highest part of our ceiling, and just sitting there like this, shaking because I've been here for 10 minutes. And my dad has the flashlight and he just walks under me, checks the room, turns around, walks under me again, and so it came to the end and he had found everybody else. And the rule is the winner gets to keep their hiding spot a secret. I was not. I was stuck. I was kind of glued to the walls. It was just like, I am not able to come down from this on my own. And so I was like, no, come out, help. And so I just had to completely like unwrench myself, and I just kind of fell on my dad. He caught me and set me on the floor. And so like no one try that. It was a terrible idea. I mean, it was made for a really cool story, but oh my gosh, it hurt. But it's just those things. I can't picture a lot of kids nowadays like having those kinds of stories. Parents just really need to get involved in playing games with their kids. That's what made it so fun and interesting. It was never that interesting when it was just me and my siblings, but my parents got involved. Mom and dad are playing. It was super cool.
In terms of building balance and coordination, I think there's warm-up exercises we do in terms of the trust exercise. So I think everyone knows that the trust exercise where you've got two people, one person falls backwards, the other one catches you, right? Well, one of the warm-ups that we do in tactical running is that, but there's no person behind. So you got to decide at what point do you need to move your legs to actually catch yourself, right? So this is good for a number of reasons, because if you get attacked and you get caught off guard and you stumble, you're training yourself to quickly stay on your feet, and it can build balance and coordination. And it was really funny how we actually came up with this exercise, because it was actually originated from a rest home that had a couple of people there and developing these exercises for old people who would start to lose balance. And the idea was that you rock backwards on your feet a little bit and then catch yourself just slightly. Just practice kind of rocking backwards and forwards and just seeing kind of that limit of right before you would fall. And so you go forward, back, left, right. And so I was like, well, let's just do that, but take it to the extreme. Let's see, martial artists or just sort of the average person, how far back can they fall before they can't catch themselves with their legs? How far forward can they do it? How far from this side and that side? And so that can be very good for kids as well to develop balance. You just get them to sort of obviously like on the grass or like a padded floor or something, and they just get some time to sort of see if they can catch themselves, stop themselves from falling.
Yeah, any of those balance drills would be good. And the slipping exercises, those are really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just, playing tag outside when the ground is wet.
Yeah. Practicing slipping is quite good, because people slip from time to time. You might just be like walking and step on some mud and your foot slides back and a little balance. And actually, ever since doing these exercises, I don't think I've ever slipped over, like actually fallen over, since doing these exercises. You can practice relaxing, and usually wherever your leg slips to is just where it needs to be to stay balanced. So if you actually do nothing, you usually just stay standing. And if you just practice, like, I don't know, maybe put some paper on the floor on one foot, and then you just push off it and it's going to slide, and you just keep your other foot in line with your body, that foot's just going to go out and you're going to fall, but you're going to remain balanced because you've got this balance leg here. So you can do that the other side and try a couple of different angles and just see, like, where should your body be? Like, if your leg's going to slip, where does your body need to be in order for you to stay balanced? And if you drill that a couple of times, it helps quite a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, first off, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today. And if you can, just or if you will, please tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, so I've got a YouTube channel, which you might see in the link below, and also got a book on Amazon, which, as you guys probably know, Brian has read, and the girls have read. So that as well. Yeah.
Yep, we'll have the links to all of that in the description of this podcast. So, Jarrod, thank you again, and we will look forward to having you on again in another episode.
Awesome. Always a pleasure.
All right, so I really enjoy having him on. I enjoyed having him on the first time we did it. I enjoyed having him on this time. We are trying to come up with as many reasons to have him back on the podcast as possible. So really, really enjoy having Jarrod Saxton on.
Yeah, I hope everybody was able to find some useful information in that.
Yeah, I don't know how you could.
Yeah, because even if you don't have your own kids, if you're a teacher or if you have nieces or nephews,
or just pick some random kids in the park to play with. No, don't do that. Don't do that. That's a joke.
Or babysitting.
Yeah, or if you babysit, it's all things that you can incorporate, and they are super fun games,
Yes.
And even if you don't give them the little talk of, this can be useful later on, just playing those games develops those skills in them, whether they know it or not.
Yep. And then you can start explaining that later on. You don't have to even explain it right then. They're just having fun at the moment. But yeah, that was so much fun talking about kids. I know we want to have them on again to talk about like some adult training and just some other things in general.
Yes, so. Adults without previous training, like their tactics and skills and things. And then I think we'll have a whole nother episode potentially on how to incorporate tactical running into your existing training.
Yes, if you're like already training in martial arts or self-defense or anything along those lines. Anyway, that's just the next two that we have planned. Like I said, we're going to come up with excuses to keep having him on, just like we do with some others. So, all right.
All right, and our ad is Invisaware today. What else do I need to say about it?
Invisaware has super great stuff. They have jewelry and some things for men, and they look really nice, but they are also a safety device that if you click it twice, it will send your location to up to 5 contacts and the police, so that if you are in potential danger, you have that extra form of safety of people knowing where you are and how to get to you.
Yes. So the next time we have a spot for Invisaware, you say what Jada just said, because she said it excellently.
Okay.
Now, to get that, you go to Invisaware, that's INVISAWEAR, if I said that too slurred, .com, and use the coupon code Impact Defense. Will get you 10% off.
All right.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. And we will see you in the next one. Oh, wait.
If you guys are enjoying this podcast, go ahead and go to Apple Podcasts or any podcast catcher. Rate us, and please write a review.
Before Kylie has a conniption.
All right, guys, we'll see you later.